All right. So there's one more part of character creation that I want to go through, and um especially as this you can do a lot of interesting things if you're playing an android, a synth, a synthetic, or a gynoid if you want. Instead, making one isn't it's not super complex to do, but the book does urge some caution. As we look here, we're in the core rulebook on page 29. Androids are an important part of the Alien role playing game, and you can play one as your player character. Androids are rare, however, and we recommend that you talk it through with the rest of the group before creating an Android PC for a campaign game. Most androids look human. They can have any career and may be open about their nature or secretly pose as human. Rules wise, androids work a little differently from humans. Androids get a +3 bonus to 2 attributes of their choice after the 14 attribute points have been assigned. Androids can't push skill rolls, they cannot. Androids don't suffer stress and thus don't have a stress level. For this reason, they don't need a signature item. Uh, there are parts to character creating we can go back and touch on. Signature items are a way to try and relieve a little stress that's building up in your character. Androids never make panic rolls. Androids suffer damage differently. And there's a whole other critical damage chart for androids. Now, there's a uh if you're not familiar with the various media around Alien, androids, synthetics, whatever you want to call them, uh, have a notorious reputation. But we've seen both good ones and bad ones. And there's a mechanic in this role playing game where if someone is revealed to be an android, it does increase the stress of everyone because, oh, this whole time, um, because who knows what could happen, right? Especially if it was done covertly. And so this is a character that it really does need collaboration with your GM, your game mother. Because do you want to keep it secret so you look like a human? Now, everyone else at the table presumably knows that you're playing an android, but in character is another thing. Do you want to be overt about it? Do you want to, do you want to look like a Siegson working Joe, which is a very obvious synthetic life form? So humanoid in shape, but you can't mistake the fact that it is artificial life. Or do you want to play one that looks and sounds very real, very much like a Terminator in many regards? Only unless you take massive damage, or damage even beyond cutting, because a Terminator has blood, like there's tissue above the metallic bone. Could you do that in Alien? Well, I don't see why not. The mechanics of how you work are still there, and if you take massive damage, then it might be revealed that there's that. I'm putting myself to the fullest possible use, which is all I can think that any conscious entity can ever hope to do. So there's a lot to go into creating an android character. There's a lot of context that we could randomly roll it or something. So it could be something you save for a reveal. It could be something that's obvious. Maybe there's something else about you. You could be humanoid in some way, but you look different for some reason. It talked about actually, let me this talked about having synthetic dogs. I wonder, can you play a synthetic dog? And if so, might that change some aspects of your character? I think it was in the 90s. Scientific exploration, vehicular expeditions. This had the reference to it, I want to say. Scouts. Accomplished by a Wildcatter. It's more often than not filled by an LRRV, a pair of pups. 134 of the core rulebook. Okay. Optical scope, binoculars, motion trackers, head-mounted neurovisor. Here we go. A Weyland-Yutani parameter uplink spectrograph mapping device. Sometimes called PUPs, these cost-prohibitive mapping devices have been in use for a good 100 years. PUPs employ limited anti-gravity propulsion to float through, across, and over otherwise difficult to navigate terrain. As these orbs scout about, they constantly scan a 360-degree area around the device with mapping lasers. The PUPs then send the spectrograph information back to a synced device, usually a starship or a ground-based holotab, or a monitoring station in the mobile command vehicle. They can also detect life forms. Boop, 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 boop. Anyway, I'm sorry. If you get it, you get it. Atmospheric conditions, toxins, and more. Pups were given their nickname because they emit a haunting, hound-like howling sound as they seek and scan. They can scan one zone per round and detect any enemies in zones they pass. Hmm. Yeah. You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? The perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. Well, so I suppose you always could, While cats make good companions on space stations and freighters, dogs have long accompanied humankind to the wilderness, offering aid and protection in exchange for food and love. As colonies are a family business, kids are a big part of taming the frontier. At least one member of an initial colonial team will likely bring their offspring along for the ride, for better or worse. Okay. Oh, that's just talking about, I guess, what you could find in that. Well, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess if you wanted to play as an android dog, you could and work it out with your GM. That your stats might be different in some other way. Um, That could be very interesting, actually, if you do that. There are things like these personal agendas and such that we can assign. Anyway, before I get more distracted by looking for like to see if there's stats, you know what? This is a role playing game. Even if there are, we can make up our own. So for the synth, the role aboard the ship is support in some way. Now, again, supporting covertly or overtly, I don't know. It might be cool if you actually played a. I mean, if you played a dog though aboard a ship, people would probably know that you're synthetic. Unless for some reason you have you know, other working parts. But let's say you're human for the sake of this exercise here. What kind of support would we need to offer? Or to whom are we assigned to support? Or, you know, that we were brought on? I'm a real dog, says the dog. Uh, oh yeah, that one's a bishop quote. First one was Ash, or I mean the one above it, and then the very first one that you listed was David, if I recall correctly, Daly. So what we can do? Let's open this back up. We have our roster, and we made our characters. We can see where we might have oh, Hal was. I thought there was one. You know, maybe it's because I was reading quotes. The synth David has some quotes in the Building Better Worlds, so I might be confused. But you know, it's an AI, just doesn't have the same kind of a body, a humanoid one. Oh, right. So for Dungeons and Dragons, we have similar exercises we go through when we build characters and we look at a party. Now we kind of have an idea for our roles. And if we really wanted to, perhaps we could super examine our strengths and weaknesses. We could run a SWOT report. There's a lot that we could open up here. Because we've been talking sentimentally, we have a lot of mechanical data on here. Why don't we should make some sort of a graph. I think we should make some sort of a graph. Maybe it's something I can arrange for and show off for Saturday. You know what? For right now, let's do this. We have. Let's compress this down a little bit. Let's save some room so I can tab. And we'll call this 5, 3, 4, 2. Whoop, 2. It's a bit smaller. Marshall is 2, 5, 3. Company agent is 5, 2, 4. Corporate rep is an entertainer. 2, 4. Three, 5. Our medic is 2, 4. Our officer 3, 3. Two, 5. Neck. 5, 4, 3, 2. Scientist 3, 4, 3. Our synth to be determined. And our wildcatter 2. So if we take a look at this, I'll draw this back over so you all can get an idea of what I'm looking at here. If we want a support, now we have the full roster. So nothing necessarily needs to be made up. We could duplicate something and say, you know what? We need more muscle. And we could make our synth very, very muscular. We need an all-arounder. We just need someone that everyone can go to. Or we need a dedicated medical agent of some kind, right? Kind of like the hologram doctor in Voyager. But if we look, let's see. Six, 11, 13, 17, 21, 29, 34, 38, 42. By the way, a synth can be any career. It's just that the physical attributes are different from those of a human. So your key attribute and your 3 key skills would be the same as an android. 7, 9, 13, 15, 18, 22, 22, 24, 37, 7, 11, 15, 19, 22, 25, 30, 35, 39. Now, why am I doing this part? This is simply because I want to see if there's an are we severely lacking something? Now, it looks like wits. We have a very witty bunch between our various roles here, as cumulatively that has the highest amount of scores put into it. We have 37, so our lowest is empathy. Empathy and agility seem to be our low. If this is strength, wits, empathy, agility. Oh, so we're low on empathy. We're low on empathy and strength. So it looks like we might need another bruiser style character. Alien had Ash, Alien in 3 had Bishop, Resurrection had Call, Prometheus had David, Covenant had Walter, Lost Opportunity. Yeah, because there's they were increasing in the alphabet. Hi, After Fov. So it looks like we could use someone with a little bit more muscle. Now, we do have two strong. We do have two strong men here. Our roughneck and our marine. Though our marine is our captain, who may or may not be on various missions. Who does like leading from the front and is there to put in the work to be there for everyone. So maybe our synth. Maybe our synth. Even if we have a pod on our ship that is acting an auto dock or a med pod, do we actually have someone who is a doctor? Do we have a medical aid specialist? I wonder. Let's see. 0. I mean, extra. So I guess technically medical aid is 4. 4. 2. 1. 5. 5 is our highest. 5 here. That's our geologist also. It's kind of looking like our ship's doctor might be a synth. 5. Yeah, we don't have a lot of medical aid in the party. And so if there is going to be support, especially if things are getting rough on a planet surface or aboard the ship, I think if we have someone, let's see. So if we're building to support in that direction, obviously we can build a medic and just lean into medic, as our medic was also our geologist. But we do need someone also stronger. Who gets... I wonder if there's a career that can really help us. That can help us out. We are getting those 3 extra abilities, so we can sort of hard push in that direction, even if skill itself isn't super trained. Also, the only people who can operate power loaders have to have a um, heavy machinery rank of 2 or higher. So that is something else to consider. How many do we have? Hi, Wally. Yeah, it's good to see you. I think we only have one person who can operate a. Yeah, our roughneck can. Looks like our roughneck can. So. Let's see. Do wildcatters, piloting, survival, observation. Entertainers get manipulation, command, observation. Yeah, so by the book, Roughnecks, like unless the GM says otherwise that you can throw an extra something into heavy machinery, by the book at character creation, it looks like Roughnecks are the ones who can automatically, if they put 2 into heavy machinery, who can pilot power loaders. And we definitely don't need any more pilots. Let me double check something here. Computer mainframes. Tools. Medical supplies. Vehicles. Oh, it was in no, weapons and armor. Here we go. The Caterpillar P5000 powered work loader. Commonly called a power loader, this mechanized exoskeleton power frame is used to transfer cargo as well as perform welding and other repairs. The exosuit amplifies your strength tenfold and is equipped with hydraulic claws for lifting and grasping. A roll cage protects your face while you operate one, and a webbed harness keeps you strapped in case you take a tumble. P5000 is difficult to master, but a pro can make it operating it seem like simple as walking. Many variants exist, including a weaponized version, and a wheeled work loader for larger loads. Heavy machinery and close combat +3. Base damage rating 3 in close combat requires skill level 2 or more and heavy machinery to be used. Okay. I think we should make a synthetic roughneck that can also treat people's wounds. And so we definitely have a different kind of an auto dock, and that would seem to fill in the gap from all these other, feeling it out, talking it out. we have a support synth that if we're going by the book here, let's do this. Let's make our synth. Everything starts at 2, and if you remember, our roughneck has specialties here. Our key attribute and our key skills are all in strength. We get 14 attribute points. We're going to say synth roughneck, but we also want to make sure that we are able to make medical aid rolls. Now, the unfortunate thing is, at character creation, and again, talk to your GM. Could it be that you absolutely break your game if you have a synthetic that doesn't have stamina as a key skill and instead it moved over to medical aid? Well, in this case, look, a skill's going to be a skill, and we're filling in. We'll still do this by the book because I want to show you how versatile building a synth is. So we'll do it by the book, but always talk to your GM about modifications to what's presented here. Anyway, all attributes start at 2, and we get to bring them up to 14. We absolutely can put up, we can make this 5 because that's our key attribute. All the others would be capped at 4. Now, if we do this, let's say that we want a super strong character here. We go 5, 4, and we should probably also, I don't know. Well, if we do that, five, 4. This is 1 over 8, 12, 15. All right, so what if we do this? We make our support synth for like physical hauling, moving things, but also being able to provide medical aid, which could also be psychological. In a sense, and here's where the fun is if you're talking to AI. Well, we're seeing it more now in our real world, but especially in a paranoid dystopian future such as an Alien. Is the machine being introspective or being programmed to be introspective? In this case, we have our entertainer as, the corporate rep, someone everyone could talk to. Very easy, clearly very human. Here we have probably a very overt synth, but one that we could even give, command or manipulation to because of its reflective nature. Now, is it a ploy? Could this actually just be the yang to the yin of the entertainer and the corporate rep, where people want to sit down and not talk to a person, but just, I don't know, burp, fart, and cuss with the boys, even if one of the boys so happens to not be able to burp, fart, or cuss? You might need that kind of tension relief. Something in, you're like, oh, it's a hot summer day. I really could use you. Cold one that I've cracked open with the boys. Well, in this case, the medical aid, whether it's physical or psychological, could simply be, asking those rhetorical questions. What do you mean you need this? Oh, well, this, that, and the other. Ah, I see. But it's acting as an outlet because people realize they can either scream at the machine, although they got to be careful because if the machine hits back, or it just causes a kind of reflection. so what we could do is this. In fact, if we go 4 and 3, we have a bit of a balanced, we have a strong and a weaker mental and physical. But what we're allowed to do is, after assigning points to 14, we get to assign a bonus 3 points into 2 different attributes. And this is because synths can't push rolls. They don't get to create extra dice pools. So what if we do this? We go empathy to 7, and we go strength to 7. 7-3-7-3. Now we come over to our skills. We get 10 points. Our key skills can be 3 apiece, up to 3 apiece. Any other skill has to be 1. Look at this. Medical aid is already 8, simply because our empathy score is so high. We're definitely going to put the minimum 2 in heavy machinery to operate a power loader. Let me double check stamina. Physical endurance or vigor, roll stamina, for example. The skills used to survive a cold vacuum of space or resist a deadly contagion. We probably don't need to worry about that as much. I mean, cold and such could still affect an android or a synthetic. But let's not worry about that as much as... Let's go close combat. Comtech. It's possible, Wally. Although, at the same time, I mean, my phone only knows what it has. It might be able to learn other things, or there might be certain limiters or directives because of overt or covert reasons that we couldn't show off any more than what a normal person could do. So, I mean, in that sense, we could say the same thing, Wally, that why can't any of these other starting characters have more skills? Yeah. And maybe you don't want to overperform because all the humans might feel that they're being outperformed by a synthetic, and that could cause problems. So there has to be weaknesses. There has to be limitations, overt or covert. Let's go mobility. Two, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. 9. 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there we go. There's our 14 plus 2 extra instances of 3 for our synthetic, because our core is stronger for being synthetic, but still in a limited human form. And then we have our spread of skills here. Which, I almost want to say, should we go hard into heavy machinery? You know what? Let's make a bruiser, in a sense. We'll take ranged combat out. I mean, it's 3. 3's fine. But we can definitely put in the heavy work here. Observation, we're probably told what to do way more often. Let's put it in close combat. I love the manipulation 1, though, because this, as a character trait, would be just enough to maybe be questioning or unsettling, or to bring us into that uncanny valley. We're not issuing commands, we're told what to do. Though the questions we impose, the situations we bring up, might be a softer way to guide people through manipulation. And of course, only having a 1 here is fine, because our dice pool is still 8. Oh, yep. All right, Wally. We'll see you again. All right, in this case, our health is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And our encumbrance is 14, because that's twice your strength. So we can say that this is physical and mental assistance. Physical, medical, and mental assistance. I like this. And this is probably a very overt synth as well, which makes the manipulation all the better. If we weren't overt about it, and I think because we clearly have superhuman strength. Now, can we describe our? Well, yeah, we hit him super hard. Yeah, I think we have a much more overt character, though, it's strength-wise. But this is the secret sauce to the character, because it does go on to fuel and give us a really solid medical aid. But that manipulation, in fact, this would make, I mean, as a player character, yeah, this would make an excellent a GM PC, a game mother player character. Or maybe kind of an NPC-ish that can go down on the missions, because really, this is a support bot. I will move things you tell me to move. I will fix people you tell me to fix. And as a voice of the game mother, I can ask you questions through manipulation to maybe set you on a path in a particular direction. I think this works very well to balance out the team, and to either be an actively played character by a player, or this is the way that the game mother can go along on all the missions. And, there's always a voice of some kind, right? And also, what happens? What happens when our synth roughneck here might become injured or even die? Would the human crew feel feelings? Would they shed a tear? Now, if we go 7373, this brings up strength to 45, 45, 44, and 42. And I think that did a pretty good job. And we can go and weigh the other aspects of skills, because I do get what you're saying, Demon Queller, about metagaming. You know, well, if you're building this character directly for this, but I think we can get away with it in this exercise for the fact that we specifically have a support unit for a team that was brought together specifically to go places and do things. This wouldn't be the context of a bunch of randos on a space station in a more cinematic style, one shot or shorter stories. You know, where it could be anyone, right? And it just so happens that everyone conveniently has overlapping complementary skills and everything. In this case, this team was brought together for a particular reason, and maybe even doubly so if the assistant is a way for the GM to go along on these missions to lend assistance without overpowering the other players. And this could also be great if, let's say that there are it's the game mother and even 3 friends, let alone 4. And what you do is you have a roster where, let's say it's 3 friends, and each friend volunteers to pilot a pool of 4 characters. Well, let's see, we'd be at 11. So one of them would be 3, okay? Unless the game mother says, you know what? On any particular mission, especially if we look at this, I will either play the captain, you know, as a leader, giving missions, that sort of a thing, especially as a frontline leader going down. I will play the captain, I will play the synth, or I will play the company agent as as the observer, as the OSHA, as the OSHA violation detector, the accountant. Those seem like 3 good ones in a presumed group that the game mother could play. And if that's the case, then you have your 3 other friends or family members who themselves will say, all right, I'll play these 3 characters. And what you do is, over the course of a campaign, maybe you have these away missions where you draw names out of a hat and you see who goes out on the mission. Or the game mother says, well, specifically, I want to run a mission that will feature geologist. And so whatever, so-and-so, this mission, you're going to be playing geologist. The other 2 of you, I want you to choose from your roster who you're bringing. And I will lastly complement the team with one of my backup characters to aid you, to go along with you. That way the players, like, a player gets the spotlight, 2 other players get to adapt to be, useful or grow. And especially with how being able to level up your character works, you have to test and succeed at the abilities and the skills that you're trying to use. So this would be a way for a group to go out and kind of level their characters up in different ways, grow their relationships. You have a constant pool of adventures and exploration out there, and the GM is always there as some sort of ultimate backup and never stealing the spotlight as the one providing the main spotlight and then the glow of the two other players. That seems like a very reasonable setup. And if there's 4 players, well, you can do something similar, right? Hopefully this makes sense to you all. And then you just pick out, well, this is the planet we're going to explore. Here's a combat. This is what happens when acid blood splashes on you. This is what happens when you push or you're stressed. Which the mechanics for a lot of this, it's super easy. You build your dice pool, you roll for successes, and you check from there. Panic rolls often can aid you because they make your dice pools larger. But woo, that's the fun of the game too, is seeing if you panic in a particular situation. So we have our personalities. We could go through and list all the personalities. Again, I could make a full spreadsheet here, but I hope you get the idea now about how you can go and build an ongoing, not just run a scenario, which it is a form of play, a cinematic form of play. You make a scenario, you play through it, maybe half the party dies, but you have fun because that's a horror movie. But in a long form one, this could be really cool. And hey, let's say that unfortunately, Security 2 Roughneck does die because of whatever altercation. Then that player has backup characters. The death of the Roughneck can ripple through, and another person from the crew can step up and try and fill that role. Maybe there's a rule that the GM says, well, if the Roughneck died, whoever, maybe I'll relinquish one of my GM PCs to you, or, maybe in a couple sessions you can go pick up another Roughneck, or you can instill something from the Roughneck in one of the other characters that are being played, so that the Roughneck, in fact, maybe if there's 3 players, the Roughneck character dies. For the 2 others, a part of the Roughneck, it could be like it's a little mini level up. Hey, I'm sorry you lost your Roughneck. Maybe one of you picks up heavy machinery enough to operate the power load. Because it so happened you were talking to him behind the scenes, but everyone can continue. That character's legacy lives on in the others, and you keep on going. That could be a fun way to do it too. So, I don't know. Overall, I say that this is an excellent expansion to Alien RPG. This has been nothing but creative. There's a lot of lore, beautiful art, a ton of information in this. It doesn't have power creep or spectacle creep. I mean, the monsters are probably going to be a little bit more exotic, and that's saying something for even the core book. And maybe some of the weapons in here. I mean, why have a standard shotgun from the base if you could have effectively the shotgun +1 that was a rare thing built by some so-and-so in the frontier? Might you find that? Possibly. I haven't looked at all of the gear or the machines, but this has been nothing but unlimited potential and possibility. It hasn't added a lot of extra new rules that make things very complicated to move into this kind of a game. And the back half of the book, the first half is what we've been going over. The back half is a campaign you can run. And I want one of you out there to run it. That's why for Saturday's broadcast, I'm going to give away for free, with free US shipping, this copy that I got from Freely. Okay? I got this in. I wanted to make sure I reviewed it, I taught it, but ultimately, I want one of you to step up with ideas like this, or even take these ideas. I'll send you the PDFs. There's a ship pretty much ready to go. Go from there, collect 3 or 4 friends, and boom, you have a lot of Alien RPG adventure to get through. So hopefully you all can join me tomorrow for that giveaway. And while I don't owe a particular a super special thanks to Free League Publishing sent me. Hang on, everyone. Make sure to thank us at least twice or we're cutting you off. It's nothing like that, right? I don't have a script. I don't owe them anything except a hearty thank you for this opportunity to build, to showcase the rules, the lore, the art. And I'm very happy with this. And I like the system overall. And I hope a lot of you out there can pick this up and start playing it as an alternative game, as something you do to spice it up. Maybe you only stick to cinematic play and you're fine throwing some 1 or 2 shots where most everyone dies as you're escaping an alien or something. What? You're having fun in a tabletop role-playing game? Get out of here. But anyway, thank you very much to all of you who are, a part of this workshop series, and to Free League for allowing me to put this on.